Hey guys, welcome back to another Nostalgia Block episode. This week we're talking about our dream video games. The video games we would want to see created. If we could create a video game, this is what it would be.
It's a me, Zach. I've been playing some Dying Light lately. Be sure to check out Let's Play Friday. There is actually an Easter egg, if you didn't know, in that game where, not to get off topic, but if you go into a certain area of the game on a rooftop, inside of a chimney, there's like a green pipe like Mario would go down into. And so anyway, it's a cool little Mario level, kind of set up kind of just like a Mario level. Well, what if you took, all the world, like the world and basically and all the characters of Mario and applied the Dying Light aspect of it, so the parkour, the first person view, and just mash those two together. I think that would be one epic game actually. I think I would play the crap out of it myself. I actually didn't even want to leave that little level of that little Easter egg level of Dying Light. I liked it so much. So yeah, who knows? Mario could be running, parkouring over little Goombas, collecting coins, and instead of standing on top of the pipe and then going down the pipe, maybe he just runs, jumps, and dives right into the pipe. I don't know, but I just think that would be a cool aspect of a Mario game, and you can make Bowser be some badass character, So anyway, guys, that's my game, Super Mario Dying Light.
So my dream video game. It's fairly simple. I've known this for a while. I've plotted its development. When I make it big someday, it will happen. So it's an original idea, trust me. My game will have Living Dead / infected people in it. Now I know what you're thinking. You're like, what are you talking about, Spike? What are you talking about? There's hundreds of games out there, hundreds with zombies, but I didn't say zombies, jackass. I said zombie / infected people. I said that because Romero's Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and Danny Boyle's 28 days later for Infected. Why those? Because back then they were scary. They're still scary now. As opposed to zombies. And a lot of zombie games nowadays aren't scary. I don't find zombie video games scary nowadays. And why is that? I don't think a lot of people do. Why is that? That's because there's no penalty to death. How can you be afraid of something if there's no consequences? Like in Dead Island, or even, what's that new one where you're running around? Made by Dead Island, guys. Zombies weren't scary in that. They posed little threat, and they barely hurt you, and when you died, nothing happened. Yeah, maybe you lost experience or cash, but that's it. And then you'd spawn like a few feet away. What the hell is that? How are you supposed to be scared? And so, I think I would want a game with permadeath. A game where you had to create your own character. You could customize their hair, give them a little hat, do what you wanted to do, give them tattoos, whatever. But then when your character died, you'd have to create a brand new character. That character is gone. And so it would be an RPG. You'd have skills and perks and stuff like that. And you wouldn't lose those when your character died. They'd be transferred to your other character, and to explain that and make it somewhat realistic, you could say that's like a descendant of your first character. Same thing with money and experience. It could all be, some of it could be transferred, not all of it, but some of it. And so you'd be scared if you know, a group of enemies were chasing after you and you really were attached to this character. You're like, oh, I don't want to go recreate a whole new character and then lose experience and clothing and all this other stuff. But it's not as harsh as, like, say, DayZ, where you just flat out lose everything. It's not that harsh. You still carry over. I want to see a world inhabited by people where people's choices affect each other with zombies and with, you know, real zombies. And I'm talking real zombies. I'm serious about that point. So serious, I want them to bring infection back, you know, or, you know, for the first time. I don't think, the only game I ever remember infection actually being a thing is in a Resident Evil game, online, Resident Evil Online, I forget what it was called. So yes, that's my dream game, is a realistic survival horror RPG, MMO, survival horror zombie game. It would be in first person too, just because the first person's perspective to me is more engaging. It's more, it puts you more in the character, plus it makes it slightly scarier. If you ever played any of the newer first person horror games, I'm drawing a blank onto the ones I've played recently. Maybe I'll put it down in the comments, the description. But yeah, that's my dream game.
My dream game. Man, what a hard question. You know, I had to look back on all my favorite experiences in gaming to try and come up with an answer for this. And right there is the key word, experiences. The sole purpose of a game designer, whether they're indie or work for a AAA company, is to create an experience for the player. And in my experience with gaming, there were a few things that made games really impactful on me. It was games that had really solid, in-depth characters, not just the protagonist, but all the supporting characters, anyone you encountered, you know, as long as it wasn't some vanilla character. And a really in-depth story, something that made you really want to progress through it. You had to finish it because it was such a good story. On this show, I've talked many times about my favorite game, Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. To me, that still holds up. I've recently been playing The Last of Us, which I can tell you is just phenomenal. I can see now why it's won more awards than any other game out there. And it's because it's such a character-driven game with an excellent story. So for me personally, it's hard to come up with like specific details on what my dream game would be. I just know that my dream game would have excellent characters, multi-layered characters, and a in-depth story that just drove you to finish the game. Whether it's 2D or 3D though, you know, I don't personally care, although I feel like 3D games kind of help sell that immersion more, make you feel like you're there. So, I mean, I guess broadly, my dream game would be a 3D action-adventure game with solid characters and an excellent storyline. Yeah, that's all I got.